The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 17th day of June, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and we'll have Maya Palacio giving us a news break in a bit, brought to you by People's. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy first day back to work for the traditional work goes after a long weekend. Big up to the real deal Will over there at Hot 1075. Make sure we're streaming through into your radios. So big up to everyone at Intalent Communications and Hot 1075 for ensuring we're able to get this stream on the radio waves. But how's everyone feeling? How was your weekend? Did everyone have a safe and enjoyable weekend? What'd you guys do? Anything fun? Suzanne Ingham says, awesome Tuesday, Jamel and Maya, and an awesome Tuesday to you. Hopefully you got some, free time or rest time or enjoyed the holiday weekend, Suzanne and crew. How did everyone spend their weekend? What did you all do? Did anyone go to any of the events that were put on? They look kind of fun, especially I think I saw a video of two of the singers jumping over at Admiralty House. It doesn't get much more Bermudian than that, right? Getting them a real Bermudian experience out there. But yeah, I saw so many people out and about. I mean, some of you all in the audience, I was like, all right, getting your grooves back. No shade. But I was like, okay, do your thing. But no, honestly, it's great to. I think the best thing about this weekend, and I know people have, felt different ways about what the police have done, but I love the way that they engage people, and they were actually complimenting and commending everyone for being able to make sure that the weekend went incident free, which I am happy that at least we didn't receive across our desk anything to state otherwise. So very happy that it went incident free. Big up to the promoters, those who supported it, and to those who participated in this weekend's events. That means the dinghy race as well. I think we had a repeat winner in the dinghy race. And then also we did have the regiment band participate in the parade on Saturday. Not sure if anyone went to that. All right. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Greg Wilson onto the show from the Food Forest. He's going to be joining us on behalf of the Bermuda Environmental Sustainability Task Force to discuss agriculture, farming, health, nutrition, and so much more. So looking forward to the conversation with Greg. The daily play is going to be music today. Yeah. No, not music. It's a remember when. Gee, getting my days all mixed up. I remember when today. I remember when. So a little bit of history with you all. But in the meantime, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, let's jump into today's questions. So a lot has happened since we last got together on Friday. But one of the things that I believe is on the front page of the paper today, it was spoken about last week, was government to address basically the banners throughout the island, right? So I know that there was some at the Paget stoplights. There's some at T Street, that junction. But let's read from our friends at the Royal Gazette, where it says legislation which regulates public advertisements will be rethought to address the rising number of roadside banners appearing around the island. David Brett, the premier, said there had been a disturbing proliferation in such marketing, which is regulated by the Advertising Regulations Act 1911. Mr. Brett said that while measures were not mentioned in the 2025 throne speech, the government intended to follow through on its pledge in the 2024 throne speech to revisit the legislation. It is an act that needs to be updated because this is an act that bans many things, he said. The Advertising Regulations Act means that signs on buildings cannot be bigger than 12 inches tall, and I can name many buildings in the city of Hamilton which are technically out of step. I feel like he's picking on one in particular. I remember that big America's Cup thing on Sir John Swan's building down Front Street. He then says this is something that has not necessarily been enforced. The minister will engage on that particular matter with consultation, and an update will be provided. I think I will say there's proliferation of these matters. It is challenging. We want to make sure we strike the right balance. Linda Smith, the Shadow Minister of Youth, Social Development and Seniors, raised the issue in the House of Assembly, noting the number of banner advertisements for events posted along roadsides. There are 9 banners at the intersection of T Street and Middle Road, and they are surrounding a sign that says it is a frequent accident spot. Ms. Smith said. There are 11 banners at the Paget traffic lights. All right, so question of the morning is very simple, audience. What are your thoughts on advertising banners throughout the island? What are your thoughts on advertising banners throughout the island? And do you think the law should be relaxed or enforced? Because, I mean, I remember when I was in college, I wanted to start a business. I wanted to start a billboard business, and I was told that billboards were illegal in Bermuda. I've seen comments about this throughout social media. And to be very honest with you, I have a bias in this. So please understand that my opinion is going to be slightly biased. My bias is that I work in an advertising space. And if people are allowed, if you look in the United States, for instance, right, to be on a billboard where people like to be in a space like T Street or the Paget stoplights, that would be owned by somebody, so they would have to pay for it, right? What's that place? Crow Lane, right? Where people have been sticking stuff for years, right? Even the PLP, right? During the election, they're sticking stuff in the ground. Like, to me, they're doing this for free. I mean, if that's against the law, the party which governs was breaking the law because it wasn't enforced. But my bias in this, audience, my bias in this is the fact that I work in the advertising space, and if they're doing this for free, you're really taking money out of businesses. But my bias aside, and I say this respectfully, while I agree with those who say this government has bigger fish to fry, I honestly and truly believe that it makes Bermuda look very bad. You know, I often speak on this show about one of the things that tourists used to always say when I worked for the Bermuda Tourism Authority, and I would bring them to Bermuda for familiarization trips, right? They would always say they love how Bermuda is still the most beautiful and pristine island, well-kept island that they visited. Folks, without any regulation, this looks bad. It looks disgusting. It looks like trashy. It looks bad. Like, I don't know how anyone can look at these like things up at the stoplights at T Street and think that they fit Bermuda. And I know things evolve, but evolve doesn't mean anything goes. So, question of the morning, what are your thoughts on the advertising banners throughout the island? Again, the premier has said that the government will look into it to update the laws. Basically, legislation does regulate public advertisements, and they'll be rethought. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And do you think the government should be relaxed or enforced with it? Do you think the government should be relaxed with the banners around the island, or do you think it should be enforced? Like, no, take them down. I mean, it shouldn't be a hard job to have someone who just goes around and takes them down on behalf of the government. No. And if people reoffend, then you just fine them, right? But what are your thoughts, audience? WKD Lama says the law should be enforced, KBB. So are you saying KBB should be responsible for this, like oversight? Or are you saying KBB keep Bermuda beautiful? Shika Rana says, are they temporary time boxed? Well, they're all temporary, Shika, because it's usually done for events. That's it, right? They're done for events, but that's neither here or there, because the event could be cop match and the advertising begins in February. It still looks trashy. Even if the event's this Saturday and the banner's up, it's trashy. No, I would love to see the government do something proper, right? And I'm all fit for keeping the government out of the way of private business. I do. But the same way, no matter what business you're in, there are regulations, whether you're a pharmacy, grocery store, communications company, there's regulations, right? So I truly believe that there should be an RFP. There was one for the bus shelters, right? For years, where you can put advertisements in the bus shelters. Have some billboards in these spots that set up, but have them look decent. It really does look. Crow Lane looks tacky with all of that stuff during an election. But I don't expect a party that utilizes this now and governs to enforce the law against themselves. All right, what are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on advertising banners throughout the island? And do you think the law should be relaxed or enforced? Kenton Trott says they should have enforced it around elections. Absolutely. Absolutely, Kenton. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. What else, audience? And this is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure Trucking. We've got Suzanne Ingham says there are way too many of them, and it makes Bermuda look tacky cheap. It does, in my opinion. It isn't a good look. It really isn't a good look. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, the horse has already left the barn. My concern is that in some locations, there are too many of various sizes, making it hard to focus on any of them. Also, some stay up long after events. Charles, you're touching on something. I agree. The horse has left the barn. Like we're so far down the road, but now we can reel it back in, right? Now, and say, okay, this is what you all want to do. We're going to allow some companies to put together RFPs, and you have many advertising companies out there. It can even be a communications company, but let them do an RFP. And this avoids, and Charles mentions a good point, folks. The banners are all different sizes. They all look like crap, right? You've got one that's probably a 20 by 20, and then a couple that are like 5 by 7s. It looks really horrendous. It does. But we have to fix that. And I think having some sort of, it's no different from the whole legalization of marijuana, weed, hemp, Mary Jane, whatever you want to call it, cannabis. It's the same thing. Regulate it so that, you know, it can make more sense and be like, in that sense, safer. But in this sense, look better. But also, the time period. Regulation can help. If once the event's done, remove it. Let's be honest, after the event's done, no one's in a hurry to take it down. They could care less. But don't touch it right before the event. Kenton Trott says, I agree with your idea, Jamal. If you're just tuning in, just wanted the question of the morning, what are your thoughts on advertising banners throughout the island? Premier David Brett, as well as opposition MP Linda Smith, were speaking about the banners around the island at T Street in particular, but you've seen them so many places throughout the island. The ones that catch my attention most, and I couldn't tell you what's on any of them. I just see a bunch of garbage, if I'm being honest, up at Paget stoplights. That's what I refer to. There's no disrespect, but that's just not Bermuda. yes, times change and things evolve, but let's make it look right. And I would suggest that the government look into creating an RFP if we're going to allow this, to have it done properly. Have it done properly. Shikarena says, I do events and the regulations, I have to follow allows for banners for 1 week prior to an event and removed within 24 hours of the end of an event. See, that's the kind of regulation to me that would help. That would help to me, because it solves the problem that we're facing. Shonette Sumner says, someone told me the other day that somebody here on a work permit had up a banner for a huge event and asked me to report it. I told her to report it. I think it's trashy, but I did post about it the other day and folks had an issue with it. Says, furthermore, it's dangerous trying to read them while driving makes the island look trashy. I think that was maybe the point of Linda Smith about it being dangerous. I don't think that's the issue for me personally, because billboards, I mean, are a thing, right? Like advertising is a thing. It's not always about the person driving, it's the person who's with them, right? It's about when you're at a stop sign. So what I would give credit for is, unlike billboards on a highway, these are the ones that they're speaking of, T Street's at a stop sign. However, as mentioned, T Street is a hot accident spot, in that way since before I was a child, before I was born. A hot accident spot. And also petro stoplights where people are stopped, right? So I think the greater issue here is the pristine beauty that Bermuda is. I understand that promoters are looking at more cost-effective ways like social media and these banners instead of paying to advertise and promote. But there's got to be some regulation to it. There has to be. There has to be. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, also for the last election, both parties were guilty of this. Some are still up. I would like to see promoters consult with government to come up with better regulations. Yeah, I would hope that the government does this as an RFP and not as a way to make money themselves, though. I would honestly hope that that's the route that they take. Let's go to Dorian. He says, these banners have gotten out of hand. What happens when they start showing carnival revelers dancing in thongs? Will this be considered nudity? Well, that's another thing. Regulation as far as what is allowed to be on these banners, right? Can we advertise alcohol? Can we advertise nudity? Can we advertise smoking? Like what? There has to be. And folks, you know me, I'm always saying less government. But this is something that should concern us. And I'm pretty shocked with some of the people who have said, oh, we've got bigger issues in Bermuda. You know, my old boss, Glenn Blakeney, used to always say, let me get this quote right. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. That's it, folks. This is not to say this issue is more or less important than another. This is more to say this is an issue as well. Suzanne Ingham says, I see those banners every day when I go home. They are really very ugly. Okay. Polly Rich says, law should be enforced. It doesn't look good. Now that there is a proliferation, the government wants to act. Why is the government continually reactive? It's not a good look. Let's get on top of it. Indeed. Ellen Kate Horton says they definitely cheapen the place. Rosalind Famous says, the other concern I have is how they are embedded into the soft limestone walls. Yes, yes. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, East Broadway is currently promoting a beer festival, and to be honest, it is taken over, but I and many others know about it. I mean, no disrespect, big up to those who are putting on the beer festival. Seriously, big up to you. We need things to do in Bermuda. But are there laws about alcohol, right? Like we've got to have some sort of regulation around this, right? We've got Dorian. He says, this leads me to my next comment. Revel the Road is an adult event. Why is it allowed to happen on public roads in neighborhoods where the residents don't have a choice? Well, that's another conversation, and we'll get into that. Let's go to Shawnat Sumner says the difference between the billboards in the US and these banners is the banners are full of color and in some instances half naked bodies. I'm sorry, in some cases half naked bodies. Hard to see the words that get to the point of the banner. Okay. I don't see a difference. Billboards, depend on where you are, very different. They're not just not one billboard fits all. They have small billboards, big billboards. You have some with writing, some with pictures. There's a billboard every 2 steps in the United States. I think at the end of the day, billboards, I don't think are a distraction because they're a part of American culture. With these things in Bermuda, I think it's more of a pristine thing. I know people probably look at them. I couldn't tell you what's on any of these banners. I just noticed them, and it's not a good look. It's really not a good look, honestly. But my hope is that whatever comes out of this, it makes sense for the greater public. It does. It's not a good look. It's ugly. It doesn't add value to Bermuda. The only people winning from this are the promoters. I'm not knocking the hustle, but I think I love Bermuda's beauty a bit more than someone's personal will to make $1 in that manner. Find a way to create a marketing budget. Ask the government, can you, the promoter, create a billboard company? Something. But it has to start with the government, the politicians. Because as someone said earlier, those who were seeking political office, you were doing it too. We'll end on this comment. Renee Simmons says there was a banner hanging during election time promoting a candidate, and it was hung on his derelict property. I thought that was a negative connotation for both the candidate and for the property. Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. This was your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure Trucking. Let's show them some love. Audience, in the meantime, while we do that, do us a big favor. For those tuned in on a stream, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, take this opportunity to give us a like, love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Just make sure as many people you know have access to these community conversations as possible. We're going to go to the news break after this. And then don't forget, we've got Greg Wilson coming up. We're going to be talking about some very fun stuff that you all love to discuss. We're talking about farming, agriculture, feeding ourselves.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty, one more comment. We've got Charles H. Jeffers II. He says, if you go to T Street or Paget stoplights, there are way too many banners to focus on any one. I don't know if it's a real benefit to the promoters/events. That's the other thing. There's no structure. You're literally, talking over one another, right? There's no structure. All right, let's bring the Daily Hour news break.
Good morning, good morning. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by the good people at People's Pharmacy. It was a rough start for Bermuda's senior men's cricket team after falling to Canada in their opening match of the ICC America's World Cup qualifiers final round, the tournament that holds their dreams of making it to the T20 2026 World Cup. Bermuda fell short by 110 runs against a dominant Canadian side. I spoke with one of Bermuda's elite players, Dalray Rollins, after the match for his feedback on the game.
Obviously, chasing 200 was always going to be tough. it's one of those things you kind of create your own luck. You have to take a lot of risks. And yeah, for us, it just didn't come off today. But you know, it's some players are still in form. You know, you're not out of form just because of one game. And yeah, we're just looking forward to tomorrow, putting it right. Obviously, hopefully winning convincingly against Bahamas, put ourselves back in contention to potentially qualify.
Coach Cal Waldron shared encouraging remarks for the team despite such a heavy loss.
Yeah, hang in there. To all of them, hang in there. It's a learning lesson. So we have to look at the things we did, the things we didn't do better than them, and hopefully we could come back and correct them. Like I said, we have to analyze what we did, look at the video footage for tomorrow, look at our footage from today, particularly to see the little differences that turned the match either way for them in their favor.
There is still a chance for Team Bermuda as they are predicted to win both their matches against Bahamas and Cayman Island. And so far, that prediction is a reality as Bermuda beat Bahamas on Monday by 7 wickets. Man of the match, Onias Bascom, struck 43 off 20 balls as Bermuda secured their first win. Bermuda has 3 more games versus Cayman and the Bahamas before they meet back with Canada again for what is still considered by the coach as the ultimate decider.
It's a hard loss, but it's a learning lesson. So we have to go back and strategically plan to play Canada again for the last game, and hopefully, it comes on to that game, winner takes all.
In other news, the Ministry of Economy and Labor engaged global research in better understanding the degree of emigration, what motivated Bermudians to leave the island, and what might entice them to return. Global research conducted 3 studies on Bermuda emigration, the first involving an in-depth interview with 20 emigrated Bermudians. The second phase surveyed 105 emigrated Bermudians, and the third phase surveyed 416 adult Bermudians on the island.
To encourage Bermudians to remain or return, the most popular suggestions include addressing the high cost of living, engaging with those who have left to understand their reasons, improving educational opportunities, and expanding employment prospects.
The top 5 reasons for emigrating were cost of food and groceries in Bermuda, cost of housing and utilities, cost of healthcare and insurance, the difficulty of retiring in Bermuda, and the lack of career opportunities.
Notably, 53% of respondents indicated they may consider emigrating in the future, with 7% likely to do so within the next 2 years. This is a significant portion of our population, and it is imperative that we listen to their concerns and act decisively. Mr. Speaker, these findings present both a challenge and an opportunity. They challenge us to confront the realities facing our people, but also offer a roadmap for meaningful change.
So for those in the audience who are beyond Bermuda, what would it take for you to come home? And that's your Daily Hour news break. Back to you, Jamal.
All right. All righty. Thank you for that, Maya. I guess there's no weather today, folks. We don't have, so put your head outside. Let us know what the temp is like. But we've got here we got a days of the year for you, which is, funny enough, it goes hand in hand with our guests for today. We've got Greg Wilson coming on from the Food Force, and today is actually in the U.S. National Eat Your Vegetables Day. Eat Your Vegetables Day. So that said, I'm going to ask the audience, what is your favorite vegetable? What is your favorite vegetable? My favorite vegetable. I don't like vegetables. I'm gonna be honest with you. I eat them, but I don't particularly like them. I'm a fruit guy. I like sweet fruit. And I know people, oh, be careful of the sugar, but I like fruit. But if I had to choose a favorite vegetable, I like Brussels sprouts now. Like crispy Brussels sprouts. I like them. I was going to say corn. Kenton said Bermuda corn, but I felt like someone was going to say, oh, that's more of a starch, not a vegetable. Dorian says okra. Wonder if Mr. Greg Wilson has some Bermuda corn and okra. Renee Simmons says broccoli and cauliflower. Okay, I can get down with both of those. We've got pumpkin squash. Okay, I can get down with them. I don't dislike many, like, how can I put it? I don't like vegetables, meaning I will eat them, but it's not something like, oh, I'm craving them. Fruit, I will eat all day, every day. Carrots, says Charles. Yep, I can deal with some carrots. Suzanne Ingham says kale are mostly greens, but kale I can eat every day. All right. What else, audience? What's your favorite vegetable? What's your favorite? You know what? Tomato or fruit or vegetable? This has been something people been like debating for years. So it's a fruit if it has like seeds, and it's a vegetable if it doesn't. Help me out. You know what? Let's check GPT that, folks. Is tomato a fruit or vegetable? Is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable? Let's see. A tomato is technically a fruit, but it's commonly treated as a vegetable in cooking. Okay, here's why. This is according to ChatGPT. Botanically, scientifically, a tomato is a fruit because it develops from the ovary of a flower and contains seeds. Culinarily, in the kitchen, it's considered a vegetable because it's used in savory dishes rather than sweet ones. In fact, in 1893, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Nix versus Hayden that tomatoes should be classified as vegetables for taxation purposes based on common culinary use, not botanical definition. So it's a fruit by nature, a vegetable by habit. We're going to bring the expert in after this break, but real quickly, Shona Sumner says, I love all veggies. Cucumbers is Stacey Ann Brown's favorite vegetable. Miss McKellen says all veggies except lima beans. Okay. Renee Simmons says tomato veg is a vegetable. Okay. Shonette Sumner says my favorites are steamed broccoli or raw carrots. Man, I love some steamed cabbage from like a Jamaican joint too. Hedley Swan says broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and asparagus. And Hedley says and corn. All right. So is corn a vegetable or a starch? Hold that thought. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this break. But in the meantime, YouTubers, you're tuned on YouTube. It's a lot of you. Just do us a favor. Just like the post. Like the show. Show us some love. We'll be back after this. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high-quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
96 degrees, real hot, oh yes.
Summer's heating up, but your home, it can chill. BAC is turning down the heat with 20% off Carrier X-Power mini split AC units. They're sleek, whisper quiet, and smart thanks to energy-saving inverter technology. New install, upgrade, doesn't matter. Just don't miss out. For a limited time, get 20% off when you pay with cash, credit, or debit.
96 degrees, real hot.
Swing by BAC on Mill Creek Road today.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
At
At Umami, we don't just sell spices, we spark something bigger. We believe food isn't just fuel, it's connection, it's tradition, it's joy. Our dream? To help you eat better, love louder, and maybe even start a little food revolution. One home-cooked, flavor-packed meal at a time. Because cooking isn't just a chore, it's an act of love. Umami Spice. Gather, cook, connect.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and Hot 1075 over there at Intel Communications, making sure that we're pumping through your radio stations this morning. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, we've got Greg Wilson from the Food Forest here, speaking on behalf of the Bermuda Environmental Sustainability Task Force this morning. That's BEST. So let's give a warm TDH welcome to him. And just so happens, this was not planned. I didn't know it was, vegetable day and the like, but it's appropriate. Let's give him a warm TDH welcome, audience. Greetings, sir. How are you?
I am wonderful. Good morning to you and all your listeners. I follow you. I do watch you. So I'm very, very excited to be here.
We love that. And did you know that in the U.S. was National Vegetable Day today? Oop, I think.
Yes, it's vegetable.
Oh, sorry. We lost you just quickly, just now. Again, sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I said, yeah, I did. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with the, yeah, there we go. But yeah, I'm versed with all things vegetables.
So what's your favorite vegetable?
My favorite vegetable is actually a fruit.
Okay.
Tomato.
Oh, see?
I love tomatoes.
You beat me on my next question, because I was going to tell you, solve it for us, because ChatGPT was so diplomatic in that response to me.
Yes. But, even pumpkins are fruit.
Mm-hmm.
We treat them as vegetables, but believe it or not, anything that comes from a flower technically is a fruit.
And that's the answer, folks. It's that simple. It's that simple. We solved a few things this morning.
Peppers.
Is a fruit.
Sweet
Avocado
peppers
is a fruit too, right?
fruit. Avocado is a fruit, comes from a flower.
There you go. There you go.
Oranges come from a flower.
Knowledge this morning, folks.
Yeah.
Knowledge this morning. One more quick question before we get into the meat of the conversation.
Thank you.
So I'm getting some heat from the audience. It's a starch, but just go with it. I asked, is corn a starch or a veggie? So potatoes, corn, starch or more vegetable?
With potatoes, it's definitely a starch. And believe it or not, potatoes and tomatoes are related. They're from the same family, the Solanaceae family. So they're actually first cousins.
Okay.
Figure that out.
Okay.
Corn, when it comes to corn, I really do not play with corn too much. Today, almost all corn is genetically modified. So I don't really mess with corn. I know it's one of Bermuda's favorite, I guess you would call it a vegetable. But I don't really know too much about corn, so I'll leave that one alone.
I appreciate your honesty, sir. Well, let's jump into the conversation. For those who don't know you, or I don't know how that's possible, but just give the audience a bit of background, let them know who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, well, I'm Greg Wilson, and me, along with my niece and son, we created Food Forest about 4 years ago. I'm a chef by profession. I'm also a jeweler and gemologist, my younger years. So my passion for the earth started way back when I was very young, growing up as the son of a prolific farmer. My father was he dealt with a lot of animals. We had every animal under the sun, and he harvested all of those animals, and our neighborhoods was completely sufficient when it came to meats. But going back even further, 125 years ago, my great-grandfather came from St. Kitts, and he was a very well-respected farmer in Somerset for over 50 years until he retired in 1948. And he had a grocery store in Somerset that was very, very popular, and he farmed several acres in the Somerset area, all behind Springfield and on Cambridge Road and Royal Naval Fields, and Somerset Primary School, all the way to Long Bay. So, my history and my background with farming is long and varied.
Yeah, love to hear it. Absolutely love to hear it and understand your background in it. Just shifting gears real quickly, you're recently featured in the Conservation Awareness Campaign. Tell us a bit about that initiative and what message you hoped to share through your involvement in it.
Well, food security is probably, I would say, our most vital and most important issue that I believe has been overlooked. I just recently came back from St. Kitts. We went to, thank you, BEST. I joined BEST as part of the Bermuda delegation at the Global Island Sustainability Summit, which was interacted all things sustainable, from energy management, waste management, water management, and food management as well. And I must say, Bermuda, in terms of its progressiveness in sustainability, we are far ahead. For instance, we've been waste to energy management for 40 years. We also are very far ahead in terms of our water management. We can pretty much get water island-wide now, which is was surprising to me, listening to all of the other islands, and there were over 500 people at this conference representing over 100 islands, and all of them had the same challenges that we have. The difference I saw, for instance, with St. Kitts and Bermuda was St. Kitts has food security. They have food security. I was taken by the permanent secretary of agriculture in Nevis and in St. Kitts, and I was able to visit their markets on Saturday mornings and able to see a lot of the farms that they had there as well. And as well, with respect to animal husbandry, we saw pig farms. I saw goats. I've never seen so many sheep in all my life. So they have food security. And even in the market, they had an entire room that was 50 feet by 30 feet wide, where they had 20 stalls and all the butchers were there and you could get fresh meat. So they definitely are well ahead of us when it comes to food security. And they're working diligently to improve the other areas as well.
Indeed. Awesome. I always wonder how they do when I visit different islands. They have so much more green space, and we'll get into that as well. But through your work with Food Forest, you've emphasized sustainable and regenerative farming. What exactly does that mean, and how does it differ from traditional agricultural practices?
Sustainable farming is ideal for Bermuda. I think that with using a sustainable practice, and sustainability means being able to continuously repeat and be repetitious in your growing cycles, seed saving, being able to, without the added imports. For instance, if I have to import products, then that makes me unsustainable. So at Food Forest, we practice regenerative farming system, and regenerative farming system is a system where we incorporate as many different varieties of fruits and vegetables all together, and we repurpose and reuse everything. For instance, crop residue, or we cut grasses, we trim hedges, we pot it all up, and we compost, which is a very important part of the regenerative cycle. And we also blend various different varieties all together. And what that does is it brings a balance. It brings a microbial balance. It brings a biological balance together, which increases the health of the entire ecosystem. So regenerative system is really, you're creating a biological system that takes care of itself. With now you don't have the need for the use of herbicides, pesticides, or fungicides. The difference between conventional farming is most conventional farmers monocrop. You can go island wide and you can see acres of corn or acres of cabbage or acres, all one crop. That's monocropping. That really does nothing for the ecosystem because every single plant has a different relationship with different microbial life. And when you have that diversity, you bring health. So that's the difference right there.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Going back to what I just mentioned about like space, Bermuda is rapidly losing its remaining farmland. I mean, from your perspective, why is preserving agricultural land so crucial to our future economically, environmentally, and for public health?
Well, it's imperative that we do it. I mean, a community that can't feed itself is a community that's doomed. And we see the effects of us giving up our agricultural space. I mean, just in 1980, we had over 3,000 acres of arable land. And we've converted them. We started in the late 60s, early 70s. We started converting 100-acre plots like the Port Royal Golf Course. That was a farm when I was a kid. I used to go there. Riddles Bay, Belmont. They still have the farmhouse there. It's crazy. But all of these agricultural spaces were converted either urban development or to golf courses. And today we have diminished that land space. Southampton Princess, 102 acres or 100 plus acres. That was a farm when I was a little kid. So they've all changed, but we've diminished it now down to about 600 acres. And of that 600, only maybe half of that is actually farmed. And as an agricultural community, I mean, we are such an agricultural community. We celebrate it every year with an agricultural exhibition. And, for the first time in my lifetime, we don't have any pigs. I mean, that's crazy, but this is the trajectory that we've gone into. And what has happened is that we've replaced that with imported food. Now, we know that imported food, a lot of it is processed, which is highly toxic. And we also know that even conventional vegetables that are bought in are heavily sprayed. And as a result, all of those chemicals that are in our systems contribute completely to the health crisis that we find ourselves in right now.
Yeah, stuff that you don't even consider, folks. For those of you tuned in on the radio, we are speaking with Greg Wilson from the Food Forest here on behalf of the Bermuda Environmental Sustainability Task Force. Audience on stream, if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Wilson, please send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. I read somewhere that the average age of a Bermudian farmer is 66, and that should worry people, right? So what role do you think education and mentorship can play in revitalizing local farming for the next generation?
Yes, you're right. The average age of the farmer is definitely increasing. And it won't be long if we remain on this trajectory where our farming community will be pretty much non-existent. I believe that our government has a responsibility to encourage farming. I really do. For instance, education reform, there has to be a contribution to the farming community. I think that we can really make a huge difference if we start to reinvest in training of the youth, in the agricultural sciences. And as a result, we should be able to at least be sustainable. At Food Forest, one of my primary goals early on, right from the beginning, and this came from the youth who came to me, they approached me about doing this. And the average age at Food Force, and we have 6 employees, and the average age, well, actually all of them, every single one of them, including my son, are under the age of 30. Now, that's amazing because we have, the youth that are producing, they become producers. And working in the school systems and working along with the schools, I'm able to engage with these young kids, and the enthusiasm that they have and the passion that they have for farming is phenomenal. I mean, I work with Work Academy, Summersfield, Port Royal, several of the schools. And for instance, let's take Work Academy. A year or so ago, they spent an entire year at Food Forest learning regenerative farming. And they actually created their own market garden system right in the school. And they were so successful that they were actually producing food. And then when the families would come in the afternoon to pick up the kids, here, they're having food available, you see. And many of these kids have gone on and started gardens in their own home as well.
Indeed. I'm just looking at some of the comments. I'll get to some of the comments after, but it's so encouraging to see how you've inspired people through the Food Forest in particular. But you've spoken about, what you working with the schools, but also potential of you reusing a vacant or underutilized spaces like former school grounds for community gardens. What are the benefits of this approach, and is it already happening anywhere on the island?
Well, there's 2 things that I see going on. The community gardens, which I think government supports, have really, really come into play. For those who don't have land space at home, they can have a little community garden. And they're spotted throughout the island. And I'm very pleased. I visited all of them. And I'm very pleased to see the progress going on there. But when it comes to the future, I believe that we're closing schools. Every single school on this island, the public school, was once a farm, was once a garden. It was once a garden, and they took half of it and they built the structures, the buildings, and then the other half they left for playing fields. I believe that's a perfect resource since we're closing them. If we could take a school that is closed and turn it into an agricultural center where we can teach. We can have students from the school system come one day a week, very much like I did when I went to hotel school. I used to go to work sec one day a week or 2 days a week and learn my trade to be a chef or to be a waiter or whatever for the hospitality industry. I believe we can recreate that. We already have the infrastructure in place. All we got to do is put it together and do it regeneratively. In other words, without the use of any pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides, we need to get rid of all of that. On a small community like this, it can be quite devastating. So yes, taking one of these schools and converting them into an agricultural center will produce farmers for generations to come and expand. We can repurpose the other 300 acres. The National Trust has hundreds of acres available. So we have the resources. We just need the political will to make it happen.
Indeed. Audience, I'll get to some of your comments and questions in a few. In the meantime, if you haven't already, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, family, colleagues. If you're tuned in on the radio, we have Greg Wilson on from the Food Forest, representing the Bermuda Environmental Sustainability Task Force this morning. But food security and health, they're very closely linked. Just explain, how does strengthening our local food system also improve Bermuda's long-term health outcomes?
Oh, without a doubt. If we adopt a regenerative system, if we continue to use the glyphosates and the pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, we're really not making any headway at all, because most of these chemicals, they when they're attacking insects and pests, um, they're dealing with the neurological systems of these insects. And of course, they're sprayed. And plants, all plants, they absorb minerals. Okay, that's how they eat. They absorb these minerals. So if you're spraying your crops with chemicals, and I'm not saying that the local farmers are doing this, but what I am saying is that if they're sprayed, the plant will absorb these chemicals. And then once these chemicals become a part of the molecular structure of a plant, and we eat those plants, then we have all the autoimmune diseases, the high diabetes and the hypertensions and all of that. It's because our body is 60% biological. You see, and we're treating a plant is a biological system. This earth is biological. We are biological, but we're treating this system with a chemical solution, and biology trumps chemistry every single time. So when we look at the foods that were being offered, and the high rate and the high amount of chemicals that are in them, and they tell you on the packaging, you can read the packaging and you can see, and even on the fruits and the vegetables. For instance, if you go to the store and you see, let's take the avocados, usually they have a little sticker, a little oval sticker on them. All those stickers have numbers. Those numbers mean something, okay? Usually, let's take an avocado. It will have an oval sticker and it will say 4206. Well, that 4 means that it's conventionally grown using pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. If it begins with an 8, 8619, that means that it is genetically modified. If it begins with a 9, that means that it's organically grown without the use of pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. And so they give you the information. We just have to know what to look for. And when those chemicals enter our system, it does the exact same thing that it does to a microscopic biology. It destroys it. And so that's why we have such a high rate of autoimmune diseases today. When I was coming up, no one was allergic to anything. But today, there's lactose intolerance, there's gluten intolerance, there's all kinds of intolerances, and they're strictly 100% food related.
Interesting. Let's go to the audience, and I'll get through as many questions and comments as possible, folks. Charles H. Jeffs II, he says, Greg is one of the most passionate farmers we have. I have visited him at Food Forest and left there inspired. I believe he does group tours. Maybe a TDH community outing can be organized. TDH is not organizing anything because we do stuff and you all don't show up, you don't sign up, you don't pay up. So if we're happy to support anyone in the TDH community who wants to do that, and we will get behind you. But it has to be all of us. All right. We'll lead the conversation. But speak about like the tours that you do. You do group tours.
Yes, I encourage all to come to Food Forest to visit an organic farm. I mean, there's some out there who will say, oh, you can't call your product organic. But if I can't, what am I? What am I to call it? Because I use organisms to grow food. I use biology. Our system consists of composting, where we take bacteria and fungi and we join them together. We create a organic system, and we replant that right back into the soil. We feed the soils with microbial life. All right. I mean, without the microbes, nothing's going to happen. That's why I have such a huge problem with hydroponics. Hydroponics is like being in a hospital on a drip. Sorry, it's the reality of it. Plant needs, 18, 19 minerals in order for it to at least start to be healthy. And, our hydroponic system can't deliver all. It could, but the cost of it would be just absolutely astronomical, for them to do that. Plus, hydroponics is not sustainable. We have to import all of the inputs that go into a hydroponic crop. you see, which is not sustainable, because if we can't get those products to be able to even grow the particular plant or feed the plant, then what happens, you know? So it really is a balance, and we have the natural resources right here. We take tons and tons of organic matter to Marsh Folly every day. I mean, truckload after truckload after truckload goes there. This organic matter was once living. We can take this and repurpose it and build compost from it. We can build several different things. We can use ground mulch. We can make ground mulches. We can make soil amendments. We can do all of these things, but we would prefer, or what I'm seeing is we're bringing in container loads of Miracle-Gro, container loads of wood chips. That blows my mind. We have an invasive species here called the Casuarina that can produce millions of tons of wood chips, but we're bringing wood chips in from Canada. You know, we just got to get it right. We got it all wrong.
Indeed. Let's go through. We've got quite a few more to go through. Renee Simmons says, I have Greg's video for preparing hibiscus drink. I made it during, I made it quite often during COVID, and the turmeric, garlic, lemon, and the honey to stay healthy and still drink this one. Okay, so she knows about the drink. But we've got Shawnette Sumner. She says, I used to hate gardening, but came to love it when I tried my hand at a community garden. Eating what you grow is extremely satisfying. A visit to Greg's Food Forest is a must, but she has two questions. How easy or difficult is it to grow apples in Bermuda? And how does the meat of a watermelon become yellow?
To answer the first question, there are apples that grow here. They're not difficult. They're really not. The varieties, there are hundreds of varieties of apples. Selecting the right varieties that are conducive to our climate, which is subtropical, is the key. You know, and so just investigate that a little bit. When it comes to the color of a fruit, that comes from what they call selective breeding. You know how you can take dogs and create a, if you take a pit bull with a whatever, you can create a different, well, it's the same thing in the horticultural world. That's different from genetically modifying. Genetically modifying is really a system that is created in a laboratory. But when it comes to changing the color, it's easy to do. Just selecting different varieties and grafting them together, and you're able to create the same species but different characteristics. It's that simple. For instance, hydrangeas. Hydrangeas is a flower that, when you come it, it's blue, but you can, by changing the composition of the soil, making it either more acidic or more alkaline, you change the color of the flower, you see? So that's how you handle that.
Indeed. We've got Michael Daniels asking, from your perspective, does vertical farming have any value as far as food security is concerned?
It has value if it's done in soil. The value it has is, for instance, we have greenhouses and we grow our tomatoes vertically. And growing them vertically, it's lots of benefits to it because we can put them closer together and have more production. So yes, vertical farming is a benefit.
Okay. We've got Ellen Kate Horton asking, what can be done to stop birds from eating fruit? I lost and continue to lose apples and nectarines to the birds. What is the solution?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Well, the birds love food too. I grow my fruits. For instance, we have several fruit trees growing at Food Forest, and they get theirs. They get their portion. Trust me. The avocados, the oranges, different fruits, the sugar apples that we grow. They're all the bananas. The birds will have, but fortunately, fruit trees produce hundreds of fruit. So they can't get them all. Now, there are some things that you can do to protect against that by covering them. Doesn't do too much for the birds. For instance, bananas. You can take bags and put them over the whole bunch of bananas, little plastic bags. That's going to create and cause that banana to ripen as well at the same time. So that's how you're going to have to manage that.
I'm learning so much. Like seriously, this is so fun. Honestly, this is fun, but it's fun and educational. It's fun and it's helpful. It's fun and it's caring, right? So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. But that said, I mean, for those who are listening and maybe they want to, help but aren't sure where to start, right? Whether it's growing their own food, composting, or supporting local farmers, what's one simple action someone can take today to make a difference in this space?
One of the things I encourage everyone when, and we have lots of visitors, people are curious. They want to know, how do you grow all of this food and you don't have rats, you don't have chickens, you don't have birds, destroying things. It's very discouraging for someone to plant something and put all the effort and care into it and have it be destroyed either by animals or whatever. So what I encourage is start at home. Start with a pot. A pot is a container that you can grow almost everything in. I've grown pumpkins in pots using the right system, and then they're also movable. So if the weather gets bad, or if you're concerned about rodents and insects and other pests, you can move them around. That's what I recommend. That they all start growing in pots. I started in a pot, and it expanded to the soils. And then through my studies of mycology and the soil sciences, I came to understand and learn how this biological system is all connected, you see. And one of the fundamental things that we must always remember is that everything is connected, including us. Like, it starts off at a microbial level with the bacteria and the fungi, and then you have the protozoas who predate on them, and then you have the microarthropods, the macroarthropods, the insects, the earthworms, the roly-polies, all of them, the birds that consume the insects, and the animals, you see, and then us. So it's what they call trophic levels. All of these trophic levels are all connected to each other. And as long as we keep that connected chain going, the system will continue to work as it's designed to work. But when we use certain practices like tillage is one of the biggest destroyers of this ecosystem that we have. And over time, continuously destroying this ecosystem, it creates all kinds of problems, and you have this imbalance. And then, of course, the plants will not get the nutrients that they need naturally. And then, of course, you've got to now come in, and how we deal with the insects and the pests, and they're a result. Okay, insects and pests are a result, not a cause. We got to realize what the cause is. Because the system is imbalanced, the plant can't do what it needs to do, so it gets sick. Insects, they detect the food through their olfactory senses. So when a plant is emitting or transpiring ammonia, for instance, these insects pick up that smell and they zoom in and they destroy it. If insects did this randomly, they'd eat everything. So understanding how the system works is very important.
I think you're solving so many problems this morning for people. And this is why I say, this is not about my ego. This is why I ask the audience to always share these conversations with their friends, family, colleagues. You probably heard me say that earlier, because this information is something that everyone should have access to, right? I think we don't want to keep this stuff to ourselves. Like, it's helpful. This is, we see every day and I'm not exaggerating, every day people complain about the cost of food or the cost of housing and utilities. And I think you're answering so many questions to help with one. So audience, when we ask you to like, love, follow, and share the conversation, we're asking you to help us beat the algorithm so that so many people have access to what Greg Wilson's saying this morning to, solve some of the challenges that many in our community are facing. We've got to run, but I want to go to we've got a few more questions in the audience, and we're going to have to do this more often, Mr. Wilson. This is just too good. I mean, the things, there's so many things I want to discuss with you that it's beyond. But I'll go to Michael Daniels. He says, are there any major challenges in farming in Bermuda? And I'm guessing weather-wise. I mean, we have great weather, but it's cooler some time of the year, right?
Yeah, Bermuda is perfect for me for farming, with the exception of July and August. And even then, you can combat that. For instance, we can grow, our seasons basically start from September through June. And but if you take greenhouses and you put greenhouses, and let's say you put a 50% shade cloth over a greenhouse, you're changing the environment inside that greenhouse. You're cooling it down. So now you can extend your season. So, I really don't see much challenges island-wide. We do have a feral chicken issue that can be managed efficiently. A rat issue that can be managed efficiently. My friend Jeff Souza, and I mean, I don't have a rat problem, but he is really keen on teaching people how to use peanut butter to catch rats, which is fine, So, and he's really done a phenomenal job on dealing with those pest issues. But I think we can grow all year round.
All righty. One more question. Charles H. Jeffs II asking, does Greg know the average cost savings one could realize by growing their own food?
Yes, I do. Matter of fact, I did a study years ago. And because food is seasonal here in Bermuda, we have different seasons that we can grow certain crops. But an average family, for instance, our family, we don't buy vegetables. I don't buy any leafy greens. I don't buy any tomatoes, anything like that. So this is tremendous. And when you look at your grocery bill, it represents, believe it or not, fruits and vegetables represent 40% of your cost. So if you can grow your food and be diversified, instead of just, if it's corn season, just planting all corn, plant several different varieties of food that grow in that particular environment at that time, you're able to reduce your costs a tremendous amount.
Love to hear it. How can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more, maybe do a tour, just learn about even the task force, Bermuda Environmental Sustainability Task Force, and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, you can reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook at Food Forest BDA. That's our tagline, and our motto is "Food is medicine." And because our food should be our medicine, okay, instead of our poisons. All right. And we're located in Sandys. We're right across the street from Maxine Mart. I mean, if you look at our social media pages like Instagram, you'll see we have a visual direction post up where you can drive there. It shows you how to drive into Food Forest as well. And we do tours every day. I'm taking new visitors and I'm teaching them. And as I'm touring them throughout the facility, they're also learning as well.
Indeed. Greg Wilson, thank you so much for your time this morning. As I said, I'll definitely be in touch. These are helpful community conversations. Thanks for the work that you do, and Bermuda Environmental Sustainability Task Force as well. Folks, if you haven't already, make sure you reach out, got up to the Food Forest. I know I'm going to be making my way up there very soon. Man, this has been awesome. We'll talk soon. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, my man. All right. Take care.
Greg Wilson, I really appreciated seeing Greg this morning. It's been so long since I had seen him. Well, spoken to him, always been one of my favorite people to deal with when I was working at Hot 1075. But we are hopeful that we're able to carry these conversations to the community a bit more. So, folks, if you appreciated that conversation with Greg, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Let's ensure that our community knows there are ways that we can help ourselves. We speak about that often on this show. Do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes, 50 seconds. Stick with us.
Forget the usual, ditch the ordinary, go off-grid, where adventure meets barefoot luxury. Welcome to Off-Grid RV Bermuda, the island's first recreational vehicle retreat where nature meets luxury in a fully solar-powered Airstream RV. Enjoy eco-conscious linens, cozy robes, a stove, and full bath in a mobile home. You'll find peace in every detail of your stay. Now accepting bookings for overnight stays and half-day escapes. We deliver and set up your Airstream at one of our 10 hand-picked island gems or right to your private residence. Whether it's a honeymoon, golf getaway, birthday, or solo recharge, you'll get quality service every time. Book now at offgridrvbermuda.com and discover the sleep, serenity, and scenery you've been craving.
Hey, you all right, boy? I don't know, man. I finished running 20 minutes ago, and I feel like I'm still panting.
Look like you need to recover. Try this here. New drink. Oh, you're like you want to go to the hospital in 2 seconds or 2. This will make you fast like Flora.
Tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, we again.
I'm recovered, boy.
Being from this little island, like yourself, we knew you needed access to reliable shipping. We set up mailboxes so you can skip all the long waits or held up in customs excuses.
With mailboxes, that won't happen. Get your packages in under 48 hours using our dashboard.
Plus, if you're a planner or headerer, our weekly consolidation service might be for you. We hold your packages in Delaware and ship them together to save you big time on shipping fees.
And with our warehouse being in Delaware, that means 0% sales tax. Pretty cool, right guys?
Looking for the best care for your pets? Noah's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality food to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Greg Wilson for the conversation this morning, folks. Really appreciate it. Again, if you appreciate the conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Folks, thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can engage with you on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, it's a remember when. A remember when. This week is the Juneteenth National Independence Day celebration in the United States. We'll get into what that means in subsequent episodes. But the question of the morning is to remember when. Which U.S. president signed into law the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act, making June 19th a federal holiday commemorating emancipation? It was not Obama, but Charles got it first. It was President Joe Biden. NTS said Biden. Rosalind Famous said Biden. Sheik Arena said Biden. It was not Barack Obama, Julie. Yeah, it was Joe Biden. President Joe Biden signed it in 2021. All righty. All right, folks, let's wrap it up. Real quickly, regarding the conversation earlier about the billboard advertising happening in Bermuda, I think the consensus among this audience, this very mature, educated, and intelligent group of people is that it's a no-go for Bermuda. We've got to clean it up. As far as the conversation with Greg Wilson, we've had many conversations about growing our own food. Bermuda is a perfect place to do it. I'm proud of my family who has done this for quite a while. And I think it's part of the solutions that we're facing to learn. I think Killer Mike said it, freedom, real freedom is knowing how to grow your own food and hunt. That's the true freedom. If we don't know how to feed ourselves and grow our own food and take care of ourselves, then are we truly free? Think about it. All right, it's time for some daily inspiration. Let's see what we got this morning. All right. Quote, knowledge speaks, but wisdom listens. End quote. And that's from the electric guitarist, singer, songwriter, Jimi Hendrix. All right, folks. Just big announcement here. We do have the housing minister, Zandy Silva, coming on later this week. So you don't want to miss that conversation. Housing has been another big topic in Bermuda. So we're happy to have Minister Zandy Silva, the deputy leader of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party, swinging by on Thursday. So you don't want to miss that conversation. In the meantime, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Is Out. Peace.